So welcome to Prelims Master Program, and my name is Nikhil. And in the next 1 hour, we shall be covering the basic aspects of the program. Every single faculty will come on board, and they will explain their pedagogy, their perspective, their insight into how the program is gonna be. But I will begin by by explaining the basic features of the program as such. The first point is the division of subjects. What we have is the division into 3 compartments: core subject, niche subjects, and value addition. In the core subjects, we have taken the foundational subjects, which are 4: history, geography, polity, and economy. These are static subjects. They are covered generally in foundation course, but we will be covering them in detail. If you look at the test paper, previous few years, you will come to know around 30-40 questions are asked on that part every single year. So once we cover these core subjects in around 120 to 130 hours, those 30 to 40 questions will be reasonably answerable. But then comes the next level, that is niche subjects: science and tech, environment, ecology, ancient, medieval, and art and culture. So these topics are a little difficult, little arcane, and they are generally not covered very well in any single source or in any foundation course. We shall be giving them equal importance. The reason being, if you look at the previous year questions, you come to know that similar amount of questions are asked on these 3. अगर 40 सवाल यहाँ पूछे जा रहे हैं 30 से 40, तो 30 से 40 सवाल यहाँ भी पूछे जा रहे हैं. So the importance of these 3 subjects technically is equal to the importance of these 4 subjects. But these 3 subjects are doable only when you have done the basics well. That is also important. And then we have the third compartment of the value addition or additional special courses, जहाँ पे we will cover 4 things: mapping and places in news, budget and survey, government schemes, and international bodies. This part is generally more of a current affair basis, and this keeps changing every year. And if you look at the questions का weightage, around 20 questions are asked on these topics in last few years. Especially we have the emerging topics like international bodies, जो आजकल 2-3 साल में थोड़ा ज़्यादा ऊपर आ रहा है. So we will be giving them around 40-45 hours. So collectively this will be about 300 hours का course, 250 to 300 hours का course. That is one point. Second point is about handouts. In our classes, we will not be going for dictation. We will be focusing on primarily ready-made handouts. आपको prints मिल जाएंगे, यहाँ पे display होगा, and it will be an intensive revision kind of course where all the concepts will be cleared, but the focus will be on saving time and not giving dictation. Rather, the focus will be on covering the syllabus. And that is why if you start dictating, time double हो जाता है आसान से. Now the third point is the intensive MCQ practice. We shall be covering all the PYQs that are relevant in every single class. जैसे आज का टॉपिक है, उस टॉपिक के पिछले 20-30 साल के जितने PYQs relevant है, सारे क्लास में कवर किए जाएंगे. So you have that part covered very well. Secondly, over and above, we will be giving practice MCQs in every class. तो वो भी cover होंगे. After doing PYQs and MCQs, we have a third thing, that is the test series. It is called as Samiksha test series, in which there are total 21 test papers, which go in the 3 tiers. In the first tier, we have around 8 papers, जिसमें full length but sectional syllabus will go on, whereby we cover all the subjects one by one in around 2 months. हर Sunday एक paper होगा. After this cycle is done, we again repeat the cycle in 5 tests over next 1 month. So second time revision हो जाएगी आपकी. Again full length but sectional. And then once this 8 plus 5 papers are covered, we have 4 more papers which will be comprehensive syllabus papers. Apart from those 4 question papers, we also have 4 CSAT papers. So total 21 papers will be there, which will be, I dare say, that completely finished and curated by Santosh sir. Apart from that, I have to add couple of points. Firstly, and more importantly, and we have given a lot of thought to it, overall schedule of the program. Every day from 2 to 8, the classes will go. It is like 6-hour duration. In between, you will get some gap. So every day 2 lectures of around 2.5 hours. So हर दिन 5-5.5 घंटा class होगी. And it will go on for 70 दिन into 5 घंटा. सकता है 2-4 दिन ऊपर नीचे हो जाए, but not more than that. So if you look at it very closely, it's very intensive program. It is very intensive program. It is a kind of 70-day boot camp for you, in which you have the test series, 21 tests, and entire syllabus covered with thorough revision. The course will end by mid or the 3rd week of March. So it will start on 18th of December, by 18th of March it will be over. So you still have 2 more months, more than that, after the course is over, to revise and practice. But I want to tell you very honestly that we will take extreme efforts for you, provided you also take efforts with us. इसके बाद ही prelims clear होते हैं. The course guarantees you that you will clear the exam with flying colors, with enough confidence, with enough error of margin, provided you take efforts as much as we do along with us. And the last point I want to discuss is that we have got excellent faculty. Now we'll have every faculty coming with us one by one. We'll start with Vishal sir. He will explain modern India and his insight into the process. And thereafter we have one faculty after another, and they will explain the pedagogy and how we'll go about it. Let us welcome Vishal sir.
Alright, hello and welcome everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I am Vishal Singh and I'll be taking the Modern India section of our PMP program. We have around 30-hour duration assigned for this section, and let me take you through what we are going to cover. Right now, as far as the subjects that are going to be covered from the beginning, so we have decided that we are going to cover 3 subjects at once, right? So first of all, art and culture, ancient and medieval India, that is going to be one subject that is covered. Secondly, science and technology, the second subject that is going to be covered. And third subject I am going to be teaching, that is modern Indian history, right? Now let me tell you about first of all the strengths of this program. Now, as far as modern India is concerned, generally students have a problem, have a confusion regarding the sources that must be covered. Now, the primary source that majority of students cover, that is spectrum. Now, spectrum right now as it is, it has become too bulky to be manageable for most students. If the students are not from a history background, they find it difficult to cover the entire book and to revise it in a realistic manner, because after all, in order to gain confidence, you need at least 3 to 4 revisions of every source that you are covering, right? Apart from that, there are also other problems. Confusion रहता है कि NCERTs पढ़नी है या नहीं पढ़नी है, which NCERTs must be referred to, old NCERTs और new NCERTs, 6 से 12 तक पढ़नी है या फिर केवल 11th and 12th वाली NCERTs cover करनी है, right? For all those things, we have a one-stop solution. We are going to provide you a comprehensive source in your classes. Every topic that we are going to cover, that is going to be supplemented with a very comprehensive printed note that is going to be given to you, that is going to cover all the other sources. So we have curated all the other sources and selected the most important bits and pieces for you. It is not going to be a synoptic note, it is going to be in a proper narrative form, at the end of which you are going to find a number of questions. All the PYQs are going to be covered, and apart from that, in the class itself, we are also going to cover several other MCQs, right? So there is generally another doubt that what should be the depth of coverage. उसके बारे में confusion रहता है कि questions, कुछ questions जो हैं बहुत ज़्यादा detail में आ जाते हैं. Some questions are superficial, easily answered. Now, as far as that doubt is concerned, we must outline our objectives. हमारा objective ये नहीं है कि अगर 10 questions आ रहे हैं modern history से तो all 10 we should be able to attempt. Realistically, in order to qualify in any year's question, in any year's examination, we must score around 70%. तो आपका सिविल सर्विसेज का भी क्लियर हो जाएगा कट ऑफ, फॉरेस्ट सर्विसेज का भी क्लियर हो जाएगा कट ऑफ, राइट? And that should be our objective, that out of the 10 questions at least 7 we should be able to do. And I will have it added in the description. I had prepared a video comparing कि जो हमने क्लास में PMP के कवरेज में कवर किया था with the questions of the UPSC last year. This PMP program has been running now continuously for 2 years, and in both cases roughly 80% of the questions that have been covered in the PMP are appearing in the prelims examination either as it is or in a derived form. So I can say with complete certainty कि अगर PMP अच्छे से cover किया है तो आपका prelims का मामला clear हो जाएगा. Our objective is to make you prelims ready, and I am guaranteeing that if you cover the subject with me, you will not have any problems by the end. तीसरा क्वेश्चन ये होता है कि कौन सी टेस्ट सीरीज लगाएं, PYQs कहाँ से कहाँ तक के कवर करें, हाउ मच टाइम एंड अटेंशन शुड बी गिवन टू दैट. फॉर दैट ऑल्सो PMP प्रोवाइड्स सोल्यूशन. यू आर गोइंग टू हैव 21 वीकली टेस्ट, तो इसके अलावा कोई और टेस्ट सीरीज लगाने की जरूरत नहीं है. एंड एज आई मेंशन्ड अर्लियर, वी आर गोइंग टू कवर ऑल द PYQs फॉर मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री इन द क्लास इटसेल्फ, एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट अ नंबर ऑफ अदर MCQs आर गोइंग टू बी कवर्ड इन क्लास ऑल्सो. फोर्थली प्रॉब्लम आता है कि कितनी बार रिविजन होना चाहिए, हाउ मच टाइम शुड यू असाइन टू मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री. सो सी, on any average year around 8 to 10 questions in your prelims are going to appear from modern history. Generally students spend the bulk of their time preparing for history, geography, polity and economy. These are the core subjects, right? उसमें से भी bulk of the time modern history के लिए दे देते हैं, because earlier pattern ये था कि modern history से ही 12-15 question आ जाते थे, so it was actually very important. Now the recent trend is that the weightage of modern history has declined comparatively. तो अभी भी 10 questions आएंगे लेकिन 12-15 questions आने मुश्किल हैं. So in that order, proportionally the time that you assign to modern history should also come down, right? Now that कितना टाइम लेना चाहिए, if you have history option and history background, I don't think that you should be giving too much time for modern history preparation. लेकिन अगर history background नहीं है या फिर history optional नहीं है तो apart from the coverage that you do in the class, you should simply add that much time. For example, 5 hours की class अगर होती है, go back home, give another 5 hours, that would be more than sufficient. तो इतना टाइम आपको रिवाइज करने के लिए होना चाहिए. Your PMP program is going to end by the middle of March, and after that you are going to remain with about 2 months of preparatory time before your prelims. During that period, your objective should be to revise history another 3 times. But since you have exhaustively covered history in the class itself with PYQs, with a number of MCQs, you have habituated yourself to taking a number of tests by that point of time. This task is going to be very, very easy for you. Generally, for any ordinary student of history, history को revise करने में, modern history को revise करने में, they would take roughly 20 to 30 days. तो 1 महीने का time usually जाता है. But as I have found by discussing it with our previous students also, they roughly take 10 days, 15 days for a single revision. Second revision, half that. ठीक है, तो जहाँ पे 15 दिन लग रहे थे वहाँ पे अब 1 हफ्ता लगेगा. थर्ड रिविजन, हाफ दैट, 3 दिन लगेंगे पूरे के पूरे सब्जेक्ट को रिवाइज करने के लिए. एंड यूजिंग दिस स्ट्रैटेजी ऑफ मल्टीपल रिविजन्स ऑफ PYQ preparation of MCQs, I am sure that you are going to be prelims ready by the end of the program, and at least 70% of the questions you will be able to cover. एक क्वेरी आया है कि कौन शुड वी स्टिक विद द बेसिक बुक्स और द क्लास नोट्स. तो क्लास नोट्स, एज आई जस्ट मेंशन्ड, they are going to be the combination of all the basic content as well as advanced sources. तो हमने ऑप्शनल के लिए जो किताबें हैं उसमें से जो रिलेवेंट पोर्शंस हैं वो भी अपने नोट्स में कुछ कुछ इंक्लूड किए हैं जहाँ से क्वेश्चंस आए हुए हैं. ऑल दी NCERTs हैव बीन इंक्लूडेड, जो रिलेवेंट पोर्शंस हैं, और दी स्पेक्ट्रम, वहाँ से जो रिलेवेंट पोर्शंस हैं, selectively we have included that in our course material. So apart from the course material provided in the class notes, nothing else. ऑनलाइन में तो प्रॉब्लम रहेगा. अब तो ऑफलाइन आ जाइए. दी क्लासेस आर गोइंग टू बी ऑफर्ड इन बोथ मोड्स. ऑनलाइन नहीं अटेंड करने का मन है तो ऑफलाइन आ सकते हैं. इफ दैट इज़ नॉट पॉसिबल तो इवन देन देर इज़ नॉट गोइंग टू बी मच ऑफ अ प्रॉब्लम, बिकॉज जो क्लासेस हैं majority of our students are attending in the online mode only. So I don't think that there is going to be any major issue. What we guarantee is कि जो class रहता है वहाँ पे भी Zoom session में you can ask your doubts real time. Zoom पे आप type in करके अपने doubts पूछ सकते हो, and all our faculties they respond उसी time पर आपको. ठीक है, तो I don't think कि इतना problem रहेगा. Ancient medieval art and culture question seems how much like we read while giving marks. Okay, right. Even if mains is underprepared, should we aim for prelims as you are little prepared for mains, or think for the next attempt? No, I think that the preparation should be stage by stage, and even though you're not entirely prepared for your mains program or mains stage, you should not neglect your prelims stage. Now, I'm sure if you're eligible, you will be filling the form, and it should be on the day of the prelims that you should decide whether to appear for the examination or not. Now, if you are thinking that this year you are going to let go and not prepare and focus only on your mains, maybe the next year also you have some similar doubts. So right now is the best time to prepare for your prelims, and only once you have prepared the foundation will you be able to have the confidence to appear in the mains. So I don't think this query or this way of thinking is valid. Sir, mains prelims target में जो environment and science और PMP होगा, that is exactly the same. That Santosh sir will be able to tell you. Sir, till which month should we prepare for prelims and mains simultaneously? Generally ऐसा बोला जाता है that if you have already been preparing for prelims for some duration of time, for about 6 months, तो अगर मेंस आपका prelims आपका मई में है तो जनवरी तक आपको दोनों के लिए प्रिपेयर करना चाहिए, एंड फ्रॉम February onwards prelims exclusively. But since most of you who are joining the PMP program, you have not been able to give that much time for your prelims, then that date can be pushed forward, right? तो आपको prelims के लिए थोड़ा और टाइम निकालना चाहिए. Will the notes of history PMP be helpful in GS mains paper 1? Yes, they are going to be, because although we have curated our history notes from the perspective of the prelims, history is one subject where you cannot easily differentiate between the information needed for prelims and mains, right? So it is going to be more integrated, and while the questions that we are going to provide you, they are going to be MCQ type questions, but the same source is also used for our mains program, right? So it is going to be helpful for both these stages. Schedule of classes, number of hours and timings. Now schedule of classes timing is going to be from 2 PM to 8 PM. 5 hours का teaching session होगा with a couple of half-hour breaks in between, or maybe one hour break in between. Classes are going to be 6 days a week from Monday to Saturday, and the duration we are planning that in 70 classes we are going to cover the entire syllabus, right? So by mid-March we are looking to end the entire syllabus. All right, Priyank? Chaliye then. That is it for me. As for the syllabus etc., I think that first class में उसको हम discuss करेंगे कि क्या schedule हम follow करने वाले हैं, क्या क्या cover करने वाले हैं. That is it for me. Thank you for your time, guys, and I'll see you in the first class. My class is going to be on Thursday, right? So I'll call the next faculty to address you guys now. Thank you.
So all of you, good evening. I am Dimple Nankani. I'll just be briefing you about the geography portion in the PMP section. Here, what are the issues that a student faces? The issues that a student faces in geography per se. सबसे पहला एक major issue आता है that visualize कैसे करें? At least when you hear the word parliament, when you hear the word space, when you hear the other words, you are able to visualize something. But जब आप low pressure और high pressure को आपको visualize करना होता है, right? When you have to visualize कि what is high pressure, what is low pressure, it becomes difficult for you to visualize. So one thing that we would be touching upon is the first core thing is कि visualize कैसे करें through the way the lecture is coded, right? Then the other problem is even if you have understood the concept, अगर आप questions को समझ भी पा रहे हो, concepts को समझ भी पा रहे हो, but when it comes to applying that knowledge while solving the question, that becomes difficult. So application is the second problem that a person faces, right? Then the other thing is map based question. As जैसे हो रहा है एग्जामिनेशन में, प्रीलिम्स एग्जामिनेशन में मैप बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस बहुत बढ़ रहे हैं वर्ल्ड एज वेल एज इंडिया. तो मैपिंग को याद करने के लिए कुछ टूल्स हैं. वन ऑफ देम इज बाय लुकिंग एट द एटलस, दैट इज योर पिक्चरिस्क मेमोरी, कि आप पिक्चराइज कर रहे हो और आपको पता है, यू अंडरस्टैंड अफ्रीका, यू अंडरस्टैंड ऑस्ट्रेलिया, यू अंडरस्टैंड दी मैप्स. तो पिक्चराइज करना, दैट इज वन. द अदर कैन ऑल्सो बी शॉर्ट फॉर्म्स, जो अभी मार्केट में चल रहे हैं कि मैप बेस्ड को सॉल्व कैसे करें शॉर्ट फॉर्म से, निमोनिक्स से. दैट इज द वे दैट यू कैन लुक फॉरवर्ड फॉर मैप बेस्ड क्वेश्चन. एंड देन कंसोलिडेटिंग करंट अफेयर्स विद स्टैटिक पोर्शन. तो दोनों को मिला के कंसोलिडेटिंग बोथ ऑफ देम, स्टैटिक एज वेल एज करंट, because the questions are framed. Some questions are direct hardcore current affairs, However, some questions are current affair derived questions. When I say current affair derived question, in case कोई plate news में है, like earthquake हुआ, Anatolia plate news में, तो वो current affair हो जाता है, but उससे derived questions आ सकते हैं about the other plates, Nazca plate, about the 𝐂𝐭 plate. तो ये चीजें बच्चों को समझने में थोड़ी डिफिकल्टी जाती है, एक डिफिकल्टी की विजुलाइज कैसे करें. So to solve these problems, what we've come up with the solution is कि we will give you all this in PMP. Rather than having a full year course, we want to help you out in a very limited time and in a time compressed manner. आपको help करना चाह रहे हैं, तो visualization के लिए we will frame our lectures, we will frame our content accordingly. So this is about, if I just help this PPT, it's about, you know, the planets being formed out of nebula. So there was a nebula, that nebula cooled, contracted, condensed, has led to planets. तो हमारा जो rotation होता है, revolution होता है अर्थ का, and we all of are in the same disk, it's because of that have been formed from the same nebula. So visualization, we will frame the lectures accordingly. One, when it comes to application, as the topic gets completed, there will be questions related to the topic every time. जैसे topic complete हुआ तो MCQs will be there, so that आप application वही सीखें कि एक तो topic समझ लिया पर उसको apply कैसे करें. तो question based, we want you to apply that immediately so that you are getting used to it, right? Okay. Will the Indian mapping part and places in use of IR will be covered? Yes, some portions of the IR would be covered in current affairs, Indian mapping as well as both geography as well as current affairs. It will be part of both of them. Yes, both would be covered. So this is about the basic. Geography में ये problem नहीं है कि किताब नहीं है. There are good books available. The core books are available, and many of the questions come from this base. यहीं से बनता है. So that's not the problem with geography, but the problem is what to read, what to focus upon. तो वो प्रॉब्लम जो होता है उसको टैकल करना चाहते हैं, सो दैट यू नो कि कैसे क्वेश्चन फ्रेम हुए पुराने भी और कैसे आगे भी फ्रेम होंगे, एंड हाउ डू यू टैकल दैट एस्पेक्ट ऑल्सो. सो वन एस्पेक्ट विजुअलाइजेशन एस्पेक्ट, द सेकेंड एस्पेक्ट एप्लीकेशन एस्पेक्ट, कि एप्लीकेशन कैसे कवर करेंगे, विजुअलाइजेशन कैसे कवर करेंगे, एप्लीकेशन कैसे कवर करेंगे. एंड द थर्ड एस्पेक्ट इज ऑल्सो अबाउट हाउ द क्वेश्चंस हैव कम, व्हाट आर द मेजर फोकस एरियाज, पिक्चर्स, ग्राफ्स, डायग्राम्स. बुक्स का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बट कहाँ फोकस करें, दैट वुड बी कवर्ड. मूविंग ऑन, द एटलस. सम ऑफ यू वुड लव टू डू मैपिंग फ्रॉम एटलस, बट सम ऑफ यू वुड नॉट वांट टू डू एटलस से पिक्चर नहीं डेवलप होता है. तो दोनों एस्पेक्ट है, कवरिंग थ्रू द पिक्चर्स, कवरिंग थ्रू द शॉर्ट फॉर्म्स. सम ऑफ यू लर्न थ्रू शॉर्ट फॉर्म्स. अ वेरी गुड एग्जाम्पल दैट कैन बी इज, कई बार नॉर्थ ईस्ट पे बहुत फोकस करता है. व्हेन दे आर स्पेशली ऑन नॉर्थ ईस्ट, द बॉर्डर्स ऑफ नॉर्थ ईस्ट, दिस इज अ क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम योर यूपीएससी एग्जामिनेशन ओनली, कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट एंड द बॉर्डर्स, which of the following, there are some information given about a state and you have to identify the state. The information that Tropic of Cancer यहाँ से पास होता है. So current affairs plus static, right? They will ask you something about current affairs, but they'll ask some information that is static. तो current affairs से कैसे static को link करता है कि Tropic of Cancer कहाँ कहाँ से पास होता है. ये कोई स्टेट है जहाँ से Tropic of Cancer पास होता है. ये स्टेट है, इसका नॉर्थ साउथ एक्सटेंशन ज्यादा है. थर्ड है, ये जो स्टेट है बाउंड्री बनाता है बांग्लादेश और म्यांमार के साथ, बांग्लादेश एंड म्यांमार, एंड यू हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई द स्टेट. सो यू शुड बी अप्लाइंग कि व्हाट आर द स्टेट्स थ्रू व्हिच ट्रॉपिक ऑफ कैंसर पासेस. देयर आर 8 स्टेट्स, यू शुड नो अबाउट दैट. देन फ्रॉम दैट, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट, यू एलिमिनेट. ओके फाइन, इट इज नॉट नागालैंड, इट इज नॉट मणिपुर, बिकॉज वहां से ट्रॉपिक ऑफ कैंसर पास नहीं होता. सो इट कैन बी ईदर 2 स्टेट, त्रिपुरा और मिजोरम. नाउ यू शुड नो दैट this state makes a boundary between Bangladesh and Myanmar. So Tripura makes a boundary between Bangladesh and Myanmar, या Mizoram makes a boundary between Bangladesh and Myanmar. So इसके लिए some of you would love to visualize through maps that Tripura is probably making boundary with Bangladesh and Mizoram is making with Bangladesh as well as Myanmar. Some of you would like to visualize it through the maps, but for some of you, not all of us have picturesque memory. सबको देखी दिखाई चीज याद नहीं होती, किसी को ऑडिटरी होता है. सम ऑफ यू हैव ऑडिटरी मेमोरी, सम ऑफ यू हैव निमोनिक बेस्ड मेमोरी, शॉर्ट फॉर्म बेस्ड मेमोरी. सो द शॉर्ट फॉर्म, द स्टेट दैट मेक्स बॉर्डर, देयर आर 4 स्टेट दैट मेक्स बॉर्डर विथ म्यांमार: अरुणा मामी, अरुणाचल प्रदेश, नागालैंड, मणिपुर, मिजोरम. अरुणा मामी, they make the states boundary with Myanmar. अरु ना मा मी, तो ये जो है ये म्यांमार के साथ बनाते हैं। तो दोनों एस्पेक्ट कवर करेंगे सब बच्चों के लिए। किसी के लिए पिक्चरिस्क मेमोरी, that is through the PPTs that we have, through the atlas that we have, and some of the mnemonics also, so that we give you all comprehensive things, and that too in a limited time, so that आपका जल्दी revision हो. So this is about the problems and how do we aim to tackle that. We will go beyond this, not only covering the PYQ, related information. जैसे 10 डिग्री चैनल पूछ लिया किस किस के बीच में, you should also know about 6 degree channel, 8 degree channel, 9 degree channel, 11 degree channel, 10 degree has already been asked, but then nothing stops UPSC from asking the other channels, 6, 9, 8, 11. So expanding the domain there. So what all we aim to do is, we aim to cover and solve all the problems that you face, so that you achieve you take good step towards your goal. So that is for the entire thing about the PMP and geography. I would request other teachers also to come and share with you the various other subjects. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Santosh, and in Prelims Masters program, I'll be taking care of science and technology, environment, biodiversity, and climate change, and your economy section. Now, for these subjects, I do not want to get into the details of what I'll be teaching or what I'll be covering. It would be thorough coverage. Rest assured of that. I want to talk about what are the key issues, key problems that students face. For example, when we talk about science and technology, science and technology would be the one of the first subjects that we will be starting with. What are the main challenges that a student faces when he or she is preparing for preliminary examination? देखो, science and technology में the first problem is of the source. Unlike other subjects like history or geography or polity or economy, where well established good books are available, for science and technology nothing like that is available. So students keep running behind from one place to another, one source to another, and they remain confused. Another problem which students face is about how much to study. By how much to study, what I mean is, see, you spend a lot of time on history, you spend a lot of time on geography, polity आप पूरे साल पढ़ रहे होते हो, but generally science and tech को इतना time नहीं दिया जाता है. So students are always confused. Should we give more time to it? Should we give less time to it? Because in preliminary examination, science and tech से भी you have now started getting around 15 questions. So science and tech is as important as let's say modern India, or way more important than modern India or geography or economy. They also give you similar number of questions, but we spend more time on those subjects and less here because we're always confused कि यार इसे और भी पढ़ना है कि नहीं. And third problem which I feel students face is about the depth. In what depth to study the subject? On a topic, Nobel Prize has been given. Now, Nobel Prize work is definitely an in-depth work, a very innovative work. Now, students would be facing this challenge that should we understand this particular topic in superficial manner, just factual understanding honi chahiye, or should we have medium level of understanding, or should we properly, thoroughly understand this, and should we go through the research paper and all? They remain confused. Some people, I see some people, especially from science background, they unnecessarily keep on reading useless things just to get complete understanding of the area. There are some students who will leave difficult topics because they are like, ये बहुत मुश्किल topic है और इसमें इतने depth में नहीं जाया जा सकता. Okay, so these are the three challenges which students have in science and technology. Now, how do we resolve these challenges? First is, we will give you comprehensive study material. You do not have to study in science and technology in environment. You will not need to touch any other book whatsoever. The only thing that I would expect from you is that you should have overview of class 9 and class 10 NCERT, not because they are very important for exam. उसमें से जो important section है that we will cover in classes, but in class I won't be covering कि acid reacts with base to form salt. UPSC doesn't ask these kind of things, but ये fundamentals हैं, ये class 9 10 में हम सब ने पढ़े हैं. So it's important that you go through these fundamental ones. So before the class starts, just flip through your class 9, class 10 NCERT, just have a broader understanding, not like in detail, just flip through it, so that general awareness would be there. Otherwise, you would not need to touch anything else. I'll cover science and technology ke basics thoroughly. I'll cover current affairs related to science and technology, and in future I'll also keep giving you updates. Like this course would be over by the in worst case by 5th of March or by 10th of March. But even after that, in March and April, whatever updates of current affairs updates related to science and tech would be coming, we'll be providing you. So this would be a one-stop solution. The content that will provide you would be one-stop solution. You would not need to touch anything else, and you can get reference related to this by our previous students, by our older students. They'll tell you that for science and technology, they have not referred anything other than what we have taught. Second thing is how much to study, how much time to give for these subjects. See, generally what I recommend student is science and technology mein, on the day of the class, you'll have 5 hours of class. I would recommend you go home and study it for equal number of times. So I see we'll have around 30 hours of classes. I would recommend you to go through for another 30 hours, go through the notes for another 30 hours. This would be your primary study. These 60 hours would be your primary study for science and technology. Other than this, जब भी test होंगे, on weekends you will have test, and in some tests science and technology would be provided as portion. At that time you will do revision. Not anything beyond that, because we cannot keep studying science and technology the way we keep studying history or the way we keep studying geography, economy, etc. Okay, then in what depth to do? Students के लिए confusion है in what depth to go. What we try to do in our notes, in our classes, we analyze till what depth has UPSC gone, and we go to the next level, one step ahead, so that even if this year paper is slightly difficult, our students would be comfortably able to answer that. So through science and technology notes, science and technology classes, we would ensure that all your requirements for science and technology gets taken care of in these sessions only. Along with the classes, in every class we will be solving PYQ. Every weekend you will have test, जिसमें जब science and technology complete हो जाएगा तो first you will have science and technology test, and later you will also have comprehensive test. So anything that you required for preliminary preparation would be taken care of through these classes, through these notes, along with the current updates that we will be providing you. Okay, now there are some online questions as well. Let me take these questions. हेलो संतोष सर, टारगेट प्रीलिम्स और पीएमपी में फंडामेंटल डिफरेंस बता दीजिए. साइंस एंड टेक एनवायरनमेंट सेम होगा और क्या? देखो, now since Priyank has asked this question, let me tell you, there are two prelims program that we run. One is the PMP program that is starting right now. PMP program is primarily a GS crash course for prelims. So here we cover all the subjects, history plus art and culture bhi, geography, polity, economy, science and tech, environment, biodiversity and climate change, mapping, and so on, because it's a complete GS crash course. Whereas the other program that we run is the target prelims program. Though the target prelims program doesn't focus on these core subjects, history, geography, polity, economy, इनका बस current affairs कराया जाता है target prelim. तो इसका बस current affairs कराया जाएगा, and rest of the things would be same content, same material, same types of classes would be taken. Okay, so I hope I have answered your first question, Priyank. Then Srinivas Reddy is asking another question. He's asking, will you cover current updates of science and tech, environment and economy, or only static part? In PMP, science and tech, environment, economy के लिए मैं current affairs भी cover करूँगा. Okay. हाँ, I'll be covering current affairs also. Last year I covered species and national parks very comprehensively, but the species asked I was not aware of. Similarly in science and microsatellite DNA aerial. देखो, Harsh, if you have covered properly, इफ यू रिमेंबर मार्सुपियल्स आया था, मार्सुपियल्स हम डिटेल में कवर करते हैं। सिमिलरली माइक्रो सैटेलाइट, हमने माइक्रो सैटेलाइट पढ़ा था, मिनी सैटेलाइट पढ़ा था, मिनी सैटेलाइट एंड माइक्रो सैटेलाइट, मिनी सैटेलाइट डीएनए वाला चीज पढ़ा था, उससे माइक्रो सैटेलाइट कवर होता है। ओके, for science and tech, CA would be covered. For science, tech, environment, economy, CA would be covered comprehensively here as well. Sir, when will the separate modules start? Separate modules would be launched somewhere in March, not before that. So till what month should we continue optional or mains preparation? See, it depends on your level of preparation. If you are very comfortable in pre, you think that prelims आपका last 3 months में पढ़ के भी हो जाएगा, you continue your mains preparation till February. If you are doubtful, you start your prelims preparation from 1st of February. If you are very doubtful or if you think कि अभी आपका preparation अच्छा नहीं है, you start prelims preparation as soon as possible. तो ऑनलाइन में एक्सेस में प्रॉब्लम नहीं हो। अरे हमारी ज़्यादा स्टूडेंट्स ऑनलाइन हैं, मैं करंट अफेयर्स में पीएमपी में हमारे पास 500-600 बच्चे होंगे, ऑफलाइन स्टूडेंट्स तो 100-150 होते हैं, बाकी सारे स्टूडेंट्स ऑनलाइन ही होते हैं। ऑनलाइन में देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम एट ऑल, आई एश्योर यू ऑफ दैट। ओके, तो दिस वाज अबाउट साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी। ऐसे ही इन एनवायरमेंट, बायोडाइवर्सिटी एंड क्लाइमेट चेंज, our coverage is very comprehensive. Here also you would not need to refer any other source, from basics to all the current affairs would be thoroughly done, would be thoroughly taken care of. When we come to and here also we'll do all the PYQs plus weekly tests would ensure that you are regularly covering it. Now let's come to economy part. I'll be teaching economy as well. Last year also in PMP I had taken economy classes. In economy what we'll do, economy ko we have divided into two parts. The first 30 hours of core economy will be focused on core areas of economy, where we'll have things like national income, inflation, fiscal policy, monetary policy, capital market, जैसे last year beta वाला question आया था वो वाली चीज. Then we'll have balance of payment and external sector, where exchange rate, current account, capital account, these areas would be covered. This would take 30 hours. This is the core basic part of economy. Here we will cover again all the PYQs related to it along with the test. Other than this, we also have special classes for Economic Survey of India, budget, and when we will be doing this, so when we will be doing Economic Survey of India, we will add it with, we'll not actually only be doing Economic Survey of India, we'll make it Economic Survey of India plus, and all other current affairs related to those topics like agriculture related, infrastructure related would be taken care of in this session only. And for all these subjects that we are talking about, जैसे साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी की बात करी मैंने, एनवायरमेंट की बात करी मैंने, इकोनॉमी की बात करी, आफ्टर योर क्लासेस आर डन, after you have given the tests on the weekend, we would also be having a RTFQ, revised through 500 questions. The entire economy, for the entire economy, we will be giving you 500 questions. We'll be discussing in live classes, we'll be discussing 500 questions so that you're able to revise everything through these 500 questions. Essay for environment, for science and technology, we'll be doing it, for history, we'll be doing it. It would ensure that once you have done classes, you have solved PYQs in the classes, you have done tests on the weekend, and after everything is properly done, you do these PYQ, these revised through 500 question series, ensuring that you have revised everything again thoroughly. I hope this session would ensure that these classes would ensure that everything that you need for your preparation would be properly taken care of. Now, there are some more questions online. Let me take care of that. Sir, till what month should we continue? ये तो बता दिया था मैंने. Sir, there will be RTFQ also. Please provide it also. हाँ, RTFQ will be part of it. As I said, for each and every subject, we'll be solving, we'll be revising. Once all the classes are done, हम क्लास में PYQs करेंगे, उसके बाद वीकेंड्स पे टेस्ट होंगे, उसके बाद once that subject is thoroughly done, once economy is completed, we'll solve 500 live questions on economy, ensuring कि you are able to revise every aspect of economy once again. Similarly, when science and technology is done, we will साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में हम क्लासेस में PYQs करेंगे, उसके बाद हम वीकेंड्स पे टेस्ट भी करेंगे. हर वीकेंड पे आपका टेस्ट होगा स्टार्टिंग जनवरी 14 और सो. जनवरी 14 से टिल प्रिलिमिनरी एग्जामिनेशन, एवरी वीकेंड यू विल हैव अ टेस्ट as part of your prelims masters program. So though your classes would end in March, but your weekend test would continue till your preliminary examination, and in the end, in the last 4 tests, you will also have CSAT test. So you have, as part of this program, you have 17 GS test plus 4 CSAT tests, because the last 4 weeks में आपके दोनों टेस्ट हुआ करेंगे, जीएस का भी, सीसैट का भी, एवरी संडे। ओके, तो एंड आफ्टर दिस along with these tests you will also have revised through 500 question series वाला aspect. So discount code for current affairs students, please give a call in office, they'll be providing you that. Avani sir, I'm an old student and for your subjects I'm aware all the CA will be covered, but for subjects like polity, geography, IR mapping, बेटा IR mapping ये सब भी मैं ही पढ़ा, IR में international bodies मैं ही पढ़ाऊंगा, CA would be done, geography में डिम्पल मैम ने बोला she'll be connecting everything with CA, similarly Swaminathan sir would also be taking care of polity, current affairs, like when he'll be teaching polity he'll also be connecting with current affairs. Okay, Srinivas is asking, sir, when will be your classes? See, we are starting on 18th. तो 18 हम ना एक साथ 3 सब्जेक्ट शुरू करेंगे. मंडे ट्यूसडे विल बी डूइंग आर्ट एंड कल्चर, वेडनेसडे थर्सडे विल बी डूइंग साइंस एंड टेक, एंड फ्राइडे सैटरडे विल बी डूइंग मॉडर्न इंडिया. तो ये 3 वीक तक चलेगा. 3 वीक में योर साइंस एंड टेक में वी नीड 30 आवर्स ऑफ क्लासेस. तो योर साइंस एंड टेक एंड मॉडर्न इंडिया वुड बी डन. तो यहाँ पे दूसरे सब्जेक्ट शुरू हो जाएंगे. एंड फॉर एंशिएंट मिडिवल आर्ट एंड कल्चर वी हैव गिवन अराउंड 50 to 60 आवर्स. तो इट विल कंटिन्यू फॉर सम मोर टाइम. तो इसके बाद जैसे ही मेरा साइंस एंड टेक कंप्लीट होता है आई विल जंप ऑन टू एनवायरमेंट. तो आई विल बी देयर विद यू एवरी वेडनेसडे थर्सडे. पहले आई विल बी डूइंग साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, उसके बाद आई विल बी डूइंग एनवायरमेंट, एंड उसके बाद मैं 4 क्लासेस लेके इकोनॉमी शुरू कर दूंगा. आफ्टर कोर्स गेट्स ओवर कैन वी गेट योर गाइडेंस टिल प्रीलिम्स? हाँ, क्यों नहीं यार. ऑल माई स्टूडेंट्स, जितने बच्चे मेरे से आज तक पढ़े हैं उन सबके पास मेरा नंबर होता है. इफ यू आर माई स्टूडेंट यू मस्ट ऑलरेडी बी हैविंग इट. इफ यू हैव बीन माई स्टूडेंट तो यू कैन डेफिनेटली गेट माई गाइडेंस. Sir, I haven't covered environment from, Yashvardhan is asking, he hasn't covered environment from anywhere as of now, even basics. Should I cover it from now on, or can I completely rely on classes and notes? Don't worry, you will not need to touch anything for environment. For science and technology, environment, ये 2 चीजें ऐसी हैं आपको इतनी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली पढ़ाया जाएगा, बेसिक्स से लेकर सबसे एडवांस कॉन्सेप्ट तक. एवरी आस्पेक्ट वुड बी टेकन केयर ऑफ. दैट्स माई प्रॉमिस टू यू. एंड अगेन, आप हमारे पुराने स्टूडेंट से बात की, गो एंड स्पीक टू आवर प्रीवियस स्टूडेंट्स एंड दे विल टेल यू योर कंप्लेन वुड बी बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ाया है, यूपीएससी जितना पूछता है उससे एक डेप्थ ज़्यादा पढ़ाया है, बिकॉज वी वांट टू बी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर मोर डिफिकल्ट पेपर और मोर इन डेप्थ पेपर. योर कंप्लेन वुड नॉट बी कम पढ़ाया है, छोड़ दिया है. दैट इज माई प्रॉमिस टू यू. लेवलअप आईएएस में जिसने भी जो भी मॉड्यूल लिया है, किसी ने आर्ट एंड कल्चर पढ़ाया, किसी ने साइंस पढ़ाया, किसी ने एनवायरमेंट पढ़ाया, किसी ने इकोनॉमी पढ़ाया, देयर कंप्लेन हैज नेवर बिन कम पढ़ाया है. That is an assurance from our side. Sir, what about updates after March? हाँ, मैंने बोला ना, सबके लिए जैसे मार्च में आपका कोर्स खत्म हो जाएगा, मार्च अप्रैल में जो भी करंट अफेयर्स अपडेट रहेगा मैं अप्रैल के एंड में सब आपको अपडेट करके दूंगा. ठीक है. इस पीएमपी पार्ट ऑफ जीएस फाउंडेशन स्टूडेंट्स ऑल्सो? अरे जीएस फाउंडेशन स्टूडेंट्स डोंट नीड टू डू पीएमपी. नो, देखो जीएस फाउंडेशन स्टूडेंट्स को हमने ये चीज और डिटेल में पढ़ाई है, ज्यादा टाइम लेके पढ़ाई है, कम स्पीड पे पढ़ाई है, सो दैट दे अंडरस्टैंड इट. तो यू डोंट नीड टू डू इट, बट स्टिल अगर करने का मन है तो जो ऑफलाइन स्टूडेंट्स हुआ के क्लास में बैठे कोई नहीं रोकेगा. जीएस फाउंडेशन स्टूडेंट्स के लिए सब अवेलेबल है, बट दे डोंट नीड टू डू इट बिकॉज ऑलरेडी थिंग्स हैव बीन डन इन अ वेरी थरो मैनर फॉर यू पीपल. नाउ सागर इज आस्किंग, सर will the notes of PMP will also be useful for GS1 up to maximum extent? देखो, आर्ट एंड कल्चर डेफिनेटली, आप आर्ट एंड कल्चर ऐसा सब्जेक्ट है या हिस्ट्री ऐसा सब्जेक्ट है जो बहुत इंटीग्रेटेड रहता है. अब आपसे मेंस एग्जामिनेशन में भी पूछा जाएगा फीचर्स ऑफ दिस काइंड ऑफ टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर, प्रीलिम्स के लिए भी आप वो पढ़ते हो. आपसे मेंस में भी पूछा जा सकता है कि बुद्धिज्म के की आइडियाज क्या थे, प्रीलिम्स में भी वही पूछा जाता है. तो यस, ओनली थिंग दैट यू विल हैव टू डू, जैसे हम जब मेंस के लिए बच्चों को पढ़ाते हैं ना, तो ओनली थिंग दैट वी डू इज वी आस्क देम, जो आपकी नॉलेज है, जो आपकी सारी डेवलप हो गई है, उसके बाद उसमें इंट्रोडक्शन कैसे लिखना है, कंक्लूजन कैसे लिखना है. कोर कंटेंट वुड रिमेन सेम. हिस्ट्री में ऐसा होता है, ऐसे ही साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में मोस्ट ऑफ द कंटेंट वुड रिमेन सेम, अदर देन द फैक्ट कि मेंस में पढ़ते टाइम हम थोड़े से वे फॉरवर्ड ऐड करते हैं जो प्रीलिम्स के टाइम नहीं करते हैं. अदरवाइज इंट्रो, कंक्लूजन, कोर आइडियाज, कोर कॉन्सेप्ट्स आर ऑल गोइंग टू रिमेन सेम. So most of the subjects that we study for prelims are relevant for mains examination also, other than जैसे कुछ मैपिंग के फैक्चुअल चीजें पढ़ रहे हैं, कुछ बहुत फैक्चुअल चीजें पढ़ रहे हैं, वो नहीं, अदरवाइज यूजफुल डेफिनेटली होता है. ओके, as CA will not be comprehensively covered, should we refer CA magazines for? देखो हर्ष समझो इस बात को, CA is going, current affairs is going to be covered as part of prelims masters program, but what we are trying to say is उसके लिए ना separate classes नहीं हो रही है. Polity teacher पॉलिटी पढ़ाते टाइम अपना करंट अफेयर्स भी पढ़ा रहा है, साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी टीचर साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी पढ़ाते टाइम भी अपना करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ा रहा है, एनवायरमेंट टीचर एनवायरमेंट पढ़ाते टाइम अपना करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ा रहा है. तो इट्स नॉट लाइक इट्स नॉट गेटिंग कवर्ड कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली, इट्स जस्ट नॉट अ सीए प्रोग्राम. जैसे मैं जब करंट अफेयर्स प्रोग्राम में पॉलिटी पढ़ाता हूं तो आई ओनली कवर द करंट अफेयर्स पार्ट, whereas here teacher would focus on primarily basic part and will connect it with current affairs. Okay, so I hope I've solved your question. I've solved all your doubts. If there is anything else, अगर आपको कुछ पूछना है तो पूछ लीजिए. नहीं, पर्सनली बात करनी है आपको. ओके, ठीक है. तो now I'll request निखिल सर आर्ट एंड कल्चर के बारे में थोड़ी बातें करेंगे.
So, hello, I'll be teaching you ancient, medieval and art and culture. This topic has in the recent time become a kind of thorny subject because of many things. एक तो there is not a single place जहाँ पे you can cover it very easily and thoroughly. जितनी किताबें आप पढ़ते हो, it could be old NCERT or new NCERT, it could be CCRT's website or NIOS books or even books in the market, the kites like within 𝐂𝐭𝐭. Each of these books have some or other limitation. और सारी किताबें पढ़ के एक साथ करना अपने आप में आपका कोर्स हो जाएगा 6 महीने का. दैट यू कैन नॉट अफोर्ड. सो थिंग्स आर लिमिटेड एंड नॉट कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली अवेलेबल एंड दे आर स्प्रेड आउट टू मच. उसकी वजह से होता क्या है कि यू गेट स्टक, यू गेट कन्फ्यूज. दैट इज़ वन प्रॉब्लम. सेकेंड प्रॉब्लम इज दैट लोग एंशिएंट अलग पढ़ते हैं, मिडिल अलग पढ़ते हैं और कल्चर को अलग से पढ़ते हैं. इवन आई विल बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट विथ यू, आई यूज्ड टू डू इट अर्लियर. 4 years ago, if you see my course, I used to teach only culture. But I realized कि उसके limitations होते हैं, students are not able to do interconnection by themselves. वो दिखाना पड़ता है. When you do that, then they enjoy, understand, retain and apply. तो that is second problem. And उसके वजह से होता क्या है कि you get confused and there is no proper coverage. तो आप एग्जाम में जाते हो, 10-12 सवाल आते हैं, out of 10-12 questions you are able to attempt 4-5 क्वेश्चन जैसे तैसे छोड़ के आ जाते हैं. नहीं करना. These questions are doable. Trust me, and not only doable, the entire culture thing is actually very much enjoyable. तो कैसे करें? देखो 3-4 छोटी-छोटी सिंपल नुस्खे हैं उसके. The first thing is that what we call it as contextualization. Contextualization. एक तो आप समझो कि एंशिएंट एंड मिडिवल के डेवलपमेंट्स जो है इन पॉलिटी, इन इकोनॉमी, in society, in administration, they are all in technology as well. They are connected to the developments in religion and culture. So you have to understand culture in the context of larger changes happening in the society. एक बार वो दिखा दिए तो you not only remember it, you enjoy it and you understand it very easily. दूसरी बात ये है, you have to go for interconnections. And this is especially important, interconnections. फॉर एग्जाम्पल लुक एट द डेवलपमेंट इन स्कल्पचर. तो स्कल्पचर के डेवलपमेंट्स जो होते हैं दे डोंट हैपन इन आइसोलेशन. दे आर कनेक्टेड विद द डेवलपमेंट इन रिलीजन एंड नॉट ओनली रिलीजियस डेवलपमेंट. देखो एक बहुत बड़े हिंदी के साहित्यकार है, उन्होंने कहा है कि कला धर्म की दासी होती है. सो इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड, इफ यू वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड कला, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड धर्म. So changes in religion get reflected into changes in culture as well. That is a very significant interconnection you have to understand. Moreover, you also have to understand that Indians, if you look at our own indigenous aesthetic sense, we never compartmentalize arts कि ये कविता अलग है, poetry is different and drama is different, painting is different, sculpture is different. ऐसे नहीं है. कालिदास के नाटक में गेयता होगी, उसी में कैरेक्टर सामने आएगा, डायलॉग बताएगा, डायलॉग में पेंटिंग की बातें होंगी. दूसरी तरफ कवित्री आएगी, वो कविता बताएगी, कोई नर्तकी आएगी. तो इन द ड्रामा यू हैव पेंटिंग, डांस, म्यूजिक, लिटरेचर एंड द स्टोरीज आर कमिंग फ्रॉम एपिक्स. तो रिलीजन भी है. इफ़ यू गो टू अजंता, बस सोचो फॉर अ मोमेंट, अजंता में क्या होता है. अजंता की दीवारों पे रिलीजन समझाने के लिए थ्रू द स्टोरीज गिवन इन सम लिटरेचर यू हैव स्कल्पचर्स वेयर एक्टर्स आर डांसिंग ऑन अ म्यूजिक एंड देयर स्कल्पचर इज पेंटेड। सारी कला हाथ में आ गई, साहित्य संगीत कला सब कुछ आ गया। So you have to understand the totality of complex, the artistic complex and the interconnections between them. तो इसलिए interconnection is something that we emphasize upon at LevelUp, जिसके वजह से आपके सामने चीज़ें आसान भी हो जाती है। They don't remain factual, they become logical and they can easily be reproduced in the exam. लॉजिक भी डेवलप हो जाता है। अब तीसरी बात आती है, वो है नैरेटिवाइजेशन। I know that we won't have much scope for going into lots of stories, but every single art form, every major change, every major development has some significant narrative. कहानियाँ हैं। देखो, story is the soul of culture. आप stories को हटा दो तो culture बनेगा soulless. So we will use lots of stories, although very short stories, which will help you understand things and remember things. Without narrative, it becomes just factual. और जो लोगों को लगता है कल्चर इज फैक्चुअल, कल्चर इज नॉट फैक्चुअल। एंड आखिरी थिंग जो है वो है कंसेप्चुअलाइजेशन। कंसेप्चुअलाइजेशन even in history, as I again say, history is not merely set of facts, it's a version. Similarly, you have lots of things which are highly conceptual and the moment you understand them, you enjoy them. So in our pedagogy, we'll focus on these 4 things when we discuss in the class entire culture. This course will be highly comprehensive, highly comprehensive. इसमें you have around 60 hours. In those 60 hours, we cover ancient, medieval and majorly culture thoroughly. For every single chapter, you have handouts which are detailed handouts. Then in class and outside class, I will be always available for discussing anything you want. Fourthly, you have heavy practice of MCQs. Not only UPSC के सारे PYQs which are relevant, many more times of other MCQs will also be covered. Then one more thing I want to add, the current developments. Many people miss out on current developments. I am not talking only about those which are very obvious like UNESCO. अब यूनेस्को के वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट में कुछ साइट ऐड हो जाती है, इन इंटेंजिबल रिसेंटली गरबा ऐड हो गया था, या फिर इन क्रिएटिव सिटीज नेटवर्क यू ऐड सम सिटीज, दोज आर वेरी ऑब्वियस कल्चरल करंट अफेयर्स, वो तो कवर करेंगे ही। उसके अलावा लॉट्स ऑफ अंडर करंट्स आर देयर जहाँ से यूपीएससी सवाल उठाती है। व्हेन यूपीएससी आस्क्ड अबाउट हु ट्रांसलेटेड योग वासिष्ठ, दैट क्वेश्चन केम फ्रॉम एक्चुअली करंट अफेयर्स इन मुगल एम्पायर एरा। मुगल एम्पायर में किसने योग वासिष्ठ ट्रांसलेट किया था? उसका कॉन्टेक्स्ट ये था, उस साल अ वेरी गुड बुक वाज पब्लिश्ड बाय मुजफ्फर आलम सर ऑन दी सूफीज़म इन मुगल एरा। उसमें इसके ऊपर पूरा चैप्टर था योग वासिष्ठ के ऊपर। सो दोज हु आर इन ट्यून विद द करंट अफेयर्स, करंट का मतलब न्यू ट्रेंड्स, न्यू आइडियाज दैट आर कमिंग इन कल्चरल डोमेन, तो यूपीएससी के नस पकड़ना रिलेटिवली फिजिबल हो जाता है। आई विल गिव यू 2 थिंग्स हियर ओनली। अभी अ कपल ऑफ वीक्स अगो, one of the greatest art historians in India has passed away, V.N. Goswami. Goswami sir खुद IAS थे, but after getting selected, very next month he resigned कि मुझे कल्चर में करियर करना है, and he became one of the major historians of the Pahadi paintings. So much so, in our NCERT of art forms, fine arts NCERT, we have one paragraph dedicated to V.N. Goswami sir. And because he has passed away in couple of weeks ago only, this year, Nansukh, मनाकू, पंडित सेऊस फैमिली हमें अच्छे से करना होगा। सो द मिनिएचर पेंटिंग्स एंड मिनिएचर पेंटर्स टॉपिक दैट कम इन द लेट मेडिएवल अर्ली मॉडर्न, दैट हैज बिकम हाईली सिग्निफिकेंट दिस ईयर। तो हम उसको क्लास को एकदम थरली कवर करेंगे। नॉट ओनली दैट, एक वन मोर एग्जाम्पल, लास्ट मंथ हार्पर कॉलेज पब्लिश्ड अ फैंटास्टिक बुक ऑन अशोका बाय प्रोफेसर पैट्रिक ओलविन। He's a professor in Pennsylvania University, Kerala से है, but now is professor in US. That book has quite a lot, has ruffled quite a lot of feathers in the circles of history and art and culture. तो अब जब अशोका के ऊपर सवाल आएगा, तो lots of new facts have come into light. So those have to be covered in the class. तो अपने notes में, अपने class में, we will take paramharsh of all such developments over last 1 year also, which are relevant for the exam and our syllabus. That's why I said that 60 hours, comprehensive coverage, connection with ancient and medieval का भी importance धीरे धीरे बढ़ रहा है, तो वो भी cover होगा। Apart from that, thorough handouts and current affair coverage related to culture, ये सारा, that is the reason we have given it 60 hours. वरना 30-40 साल में कोशिश कर सकते थे, but we have promised कि हम उसको thoroughly cover करेंगे. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Let me see the comments over here. Sir, in art, ancient, medieval and culture, every new day, every new test series, new names and questions come, which we are not able to understand what to do with it. हर्ष, that is the main reason. आपको लगता है सारी चीज़ें factual है, सारी चीज़ें random है. It is not random. I kid you not. Culture actually is not very random. It is conceptual. आपके मन में दिक्कत कहाँ होती है? एक major skeleton नहीं बना होता. Once you understand some things conceptually, things start making sense. You start looking at interconnections, they become logical and not factual. देखो culture तो है enjoyable, ये आपको मानना पड़ेगा. अगर enjoyable नहीं होता तो culture नहीं होता. It has stood the test of time. Even if you read the very first chapter of Natyashastra by Bharata Muni, he talks about that. What is the purpose of art? रस परिपोष है, तो रस ग्रहण करना है, रसिक बनना है. तो moment you when you can enjoy culture, when you understand, see things insightfully, उसके बाद कितने भी नए टेस्ट सीरीज आए, कितने भी नए सवाल आए, हो सकता है 10 में से 4 आप ना कर पाओ, बट जो 4 नहीं कर पाओगे, they will also make sense and you will be easily able to assimilate them into your major narrative, ताकि आपका नॉलेज का बेस बढ़ते जाएगा लॉजिकली विदाउट हैवी बर्डन ऑफ फैक्ट्स. दैट इज व्हाट आई प्रॉमिस. ठीक है. एंड course will start with which subjects? Will start with 3 subjects. Firstly, art and culture, modern India and science and technology. तो संतोष सर, विशाल सर और मैं 2-2 दिन शुरू करेंगे. 6 hours into 12 घंटे मैं लूँगा हफ्ते के, 12 घंटे विशाल सर, 12 घंटे संतोष सर. That's how we'll proceed for first 4 to 5 weeks and then the subjects will change. ठीक है. Okay. Now we'll discuss next subject, that is polity by Swaminathan sir.
Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Swaminathan and I shall be taking your polity section in this prelims course, prelims master program. So what is polity in prelims master's program and how we are going to do that, we will see in this 10-15 minutes. And specifically we will try to understand that everyone, this is a fact that if I ask most of you that how well you are prepared in preliminary for polity, so the answer will be like very well prepared just before the exam. But when it comes to the real examination, there are certain questions, and that too from the very basic area that we tend to do very mistakenly, right? For example, if I take, I'll show certain questions also here, that why I am trying to say that polity is such a kind of the subject where of course there will be 10 to 15 questions. If I have to see that what is the weightage of polity in preliminary examination, so we can understand that every year it is going to give us 10 to 15 questions, and out of that 10 to 15 questions, greater chunk will be from the basic area, from the very core concept of the polity. But it's very ironical of fact that some of us, especially if I say most of us, will do certain errors in those basic core area, right? But see, if these 10-15 questions, it might look for a 10-15% of the whole paper, But let me tell you that these are actually 10-15 questions where you can get more accuracy than any other subject, because there are certain sources, there are certain techniques. Of course, you put in the right effort and you put in the effort in the right direction, then you can rather increase your accuracy like better than any other subject. Specifically, if I talk about 2-3 subjects, so economics, polity, these are the certain areas where you have core concepts very clear, that you can take up your accuracy really very higher as compared to certain very subjects like mapping or IR. These are the areas where you can, of course, gain certain questions or even lose certain questions out of nowhere, right? But in these areas like polity, if I say, and specifically about polity, there are certain questions which are, of course, certain topics also which tend to keep on repeating year after year. This year they are asking about the constitutionalism. Sometimes within the next 2-3 years, they will twist the question and again ask the basic concept. There are certain philosophical questions like that, right? We'll just discuss about that as well with example to those questions. So my point, what I want to put in the very beginning is that polity is such a subject, specifically if you talk about the preliminary, you can this can gain you certain 1 or 2 questions additionally if you put in little bit of effort, or if you go by an ignorant way, that can cost you a big time, right? So how should we intervene? How should we make certain changes in our preparation so that it is fetching us the desired result and just helping us to cross that line? See, everyone is talking that polity preliminary is just an examination. You'll need like 50 or 55% to clear the cutoff. That's a very true fact. But overall, that you need that. How about that if you can increase this 55% to 70-80% in one of the subjects, right? So that subject is one polity, or you can say economics. These are certain areas, course areas, of course, including modern history as well, right? So these are certain subjects where you can rather increase your accuracy as compared to other subject in a better way, but provided you study in a right way, you study from the right things, right? So I'll just try to put my points with certain examples, right? Let's see some of the questions what UPSC has been asking in prelims, and how they have been asking these questions, from which kinds of areas, which nature of questions they have been asking, right? So specifically, just I can say due process of law. Harsh is asking what about the due process of law question, right? That exactly I want to say. Okay. There are certain questions which are very, very basic in nature. There are certain terminologies which are very basic in nature, and yet if it comes in examination, most of us get baffled. This year examination only, there was a question on due process of law, and I am very sure that if there are 10 candidates, they will have done in a 4 different way, क्योंकि option ही 4 होते हैं. So there would be certain candidates who will have chosen that principle of natural justice. There will be certain candidates who would have chosen fair application of the laws. But yet, what are these kinds of questions? They are very basic. They are very essential component. Even if you read, even if you go and start reading the very core of the constitution, you should be thorough with these kinds of questions. For example, one year they asked this question that in context of polity, what do you mean by the word liberty? Rather 2019, right? So they have asked this question: protection against the tyranny of a political ruler, absence of restraint, opportunity to do whatever one likes, opportunity to develop oneself fully. This is a very core concept: liberty, equality, fraternity, right? Justice, due process of law, rule of law. अगर आपने यही नहीं पढ़ा तो आपने polity नहीं पढ़ा, because this is certain philosophy upon which our constitution is based on. This is how we have, this is why we have our fundamental rights. ठीक है, इन्हीं चीजों को तो इंश्योर करता है हमारा फंडामेंटल राइट, जस्टिस को, इक्वालिटी को, राइट? सो दीज आर सर्टेन एरियाज. ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन कवर इट फ्रॉम द वेरी बेसिक सोर्सेज एज वेल, बट येट इन दैट व्हाट हैपेंस दैट इफ यू आर न्यू टू द सब्जेक्ट, या फिर यू डू नॉट हैव एनी लीगल बैकग्राउंड, or you do not have the PSI or optional, then you find really tough to understand that what is the exact meaning, because you see in this question, somewhat of you might think that it is the absence of restraint, or some of might you think that opportunity to develop oneself fully. And if you go and actually read the Indian Constitution at work, both are given there. Indian Constitution of work में जो आप लिबर्टी का जो चैप्टर पढ़ते हो, उसके मीनिंग दोनों दिए हैं: absence of restraint and opportunity to develop oneself fully. But you actually analyze this, that why do we need certain absence on the restraint on any person? किसी person के ऊपर restraint क्यों नहीं लगाना चाहिए? What is the goal of that? It is the opportunity to develop oneself fully. क्योंकि अगर exactly कोई restraint नहीं होगा, So that will become like everyone will do whatever they want to do. That is a negative aspect of the freedom, right? So here our emphasis will be that if we are targeting certain basic concept, which of course we will do, we will try to cover all the basic concept like this. You can see there are certain still questions that what do you mean by the rule of law. अब देख रहे हो हर ईयर किसी न किसी से 2-3 ऐसे क्वेश्चन बेसिक टर्म से, बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट से पॉलिटी के आते ही आते हैं. What do you mean by a constitutional government? By definition is a limited government. Some year they ask what do you mean by constitutionalism? Some year they ask a government limited by the constitution is known as constitutional government. So you will find repetition of certain themes as well, right? You will find certain repetition of the basic themes, and yet it is very sad that if you are not scoring this, you are not fetching marks of these questions. So our first emphasis in the prelims master program is going to be cover those basic areas of polity, which can assure you that whatever mistakes you have done in, if you have given prelims previously, or if you have not given prelims previously, so these are very, very low hanging fruit. With a little effort, you can try to maximize your marks therein, right? So first effort will be to cover these kinds of question. For example, someone has asked like, what do you mean by the due process of law? ये तो इस year का question है, right? इस ईयर भी एक बेसिक क्वेश्चन आया है, व्हाट इज द चीफ पर्पस ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. और आप देखो 2 साल पहले भी सेम क्वेश्चन आया है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल गवर्नमेंट इज डिफाइंड बाय, राइट. So there are certain areas which of course needed our attention, but rightly that we need to know the exact definition. See, whenever you read polity or whenever you read any law as well, you might find quite a terms which are very similar in nature. बट अगर सिमिलर ही होती तो उसको अलग वर्ड से क्यों एड्रेस किया होता कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में. So my point being that there can be similar words, but they are not the same words, and this is where we will fall in the trap. UPSC will put in options the similarly looking options, and then we will confuse. Even though we have spent lot of time reading the standard book, even though we have done 2 or 3 revisions. So first effort what I will take in this particular course will be to clear the basics and their meanings in a very accurate and exact way, right? So you can guess that if there are 10 to 15 questions, 3 to 4 questions in the polity, you will be finding from these kinds of concepts like the philosophical aspects of the constitution. You might find one question in preamble. preamble के क्या ही लेंथ है हमारे 80-81 वर्ड में लिखा हुआ एक छोटा सा डॉक्यूमेंट है हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का, और हर साल आपको अगर 2 नंबर दे के जा रहा है तो क्या बुरा है, राइट? सो व्हाट हैपेंस दैट we'll be trying to address that these are certain basic concepts and their meaning, right? Second aspects come that you might have done certain foundation course, or if you have not done, you would have studied polity on your own self, right? But in this journey, what you would have not done is reading the actual constitution. You would have not read the bare act of the constitution, most of you. If someone has read that, that's a very good thing. But you also might have found, if you are reading, that you are not able to understand the language of the bare act, right? And yet there are certain questions. See, UPSC किसी particular book से question नहीं बनाने जा रही है, उसका ऐसा कोई agenda नहीं है. They will pick up the provisions of the constitution, they will put that into the question. But किसी भी text books में इतने detail में minor provisions, the trivial facts might not be covered. Even if you have the overall concepts very well built up, but you might miss out on certain key facts, certain smaller facts. For example, if you see, there is this question about, in this year only, about the invalidation that elections for the post of the President of India can be postponed on the grounds that some legislative assemblies have been dissolved and elections are yet to take place. कहने का मतलब ये है, ये क्वेश्चन ये पूछ रहा है कि प्रेसिडेंट के इलेक्शंस में पीपल फ्रॉम पार्लियामेंट, बोथ इलेक्टेड members from parliament, that is Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, both will participate, and also the MLAs who are elected in the state, they will also participate and elect in the president, right? But in that situation, what if there are certain state assemblies are dissolved? So should we wait and postpone the presidential elections? So while even reading the standard book, we neglect these kinds of facts. So in our course, what we are going to do that, we will cover the bare acts specifically, and we will also try to find out what is the exact constitutional provision which is required, and for their various particular posts, their election, their impeachment, parliament, uske exact provisions kya hai constitution mein. So second effort is going to be to covering the bare act of the constitution, and I'll try to put in my best of the efforts to make that reading very, very simple for you, so that in the next time also, if you are getting certain time, you can understand the bare act in a very simple and lucid way, right? Third kind of question what you will be finding is either derived from the current affairs like this. Like this you will find certain flag code, kind of the fringe areas. So out of 10 to 15 questions, 3-4 क्वेश्चन ऐसे होंगे जो आपको एग्जामिनेशन में परेशान करेंगे. Those wild questions coming out of nowhere, but of course they are coming out of the current affairs. So what we will try also, that while we are reading polity, we are addressing the basic concept, we are also keeping track of the recent development which is happening. For example, if we are reading the provisions of parliament, so we will also try to spend some time and understand about how members of the parliament are disqualified. Because very recently there are disqualification proceedings against some of the members of the parliament, some of their membership getting again restored. So this is making a highly probable topic that it might surface in the examination because it has been throughout in the news year, right? So what are we going to do in our program? Firstly, we will try to address the basic terminologies and their exact definitions, so that you know what is meant by what. So that if there is yet another time any question like due process, in due process of law kind of question is coming, so at least you are having that knowledge that yes, this is the actual meaning of the due process of law, this is the actual meaning of the rule of law, and then by seeing other options you are not getting confused. क्योंकि आपको पता होता है वो सारी चीजें, लेकिन ऑप्शंस इतने कभी कभी सिमिलर और कंफ्यूजिंग हो जाते हैं दैट यू लूज 2.5 मार्क्स, क्योंकि वो क्वेश्चन जो बेसिक के थे वो तो आपने करने ही चाहिए थे. दिस इज व्हाई यू लॉस्ट 2 मार्क्स and you are marking it wrongly. 0.66 additional you are putting on your negative, right? Second thing what we are going to do is a very specific thing. I don't think that you will be getting it anywhere, that we will be doing the bare acts of the constitution. Specifically bare acts will be having in a form of handout. We will be discussing the important provisions and even the trivial part of those provisions, so we will be trying to cover that, right? And third one is that we will be integrating that with the recent development. We will be integrating that with the recent development. Of course, recent development will include certain amendments which has been done, like Women Reservation Bill 106 amendment. This is just to give an example. Certain cases and the important landmark judgments which might have come in a recent year, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, right? And then any news which relates to certain institutions like Parliament, President, or we have another thing which have to keep in mind, the Representation of People Act. क्योंकि 10-15 जो क्वेश्चन आते हैं उसमें इलेक्शंस के क्वेश्चन और जुडिशियरी के क्वेश्चन, द होल क्रिमिनल जस्टिस के अराउंड 2-3 क्वेश्चन यू विल फाइंड फ्रॉम दीज टॉपिक्स. So let's try to finish polity and let's try to get it prepared in such a way that if 10 questions are coming, we are able to solve 8 out of 10 with a very confident way. सॉल्व आप 10 के 10 कर सकते हो, लेकिन उसमें से 3 निगेटिव हो जाए तो अल्टीमेटली व्हाट यू आर गेटिंग इज 5 or 6 क्वेश्चंस, राइट. So our purpose will be to gather the exact knowledge so that we are not getting confused while we are finding paper, even if they ask questions from anywhere, right? Okay, so let's take some of your doubts here. हर्ष का क्वेश्चन, ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ वाला जो क्वेश्चन है, whether that will be the part or not. I've discussed not only the due process of law, we are going to cover those concepts which are associated also and related also. Waiting for your course. Thank you. We'll start very soon. So much of content of polity there in monthly magazine, but in actual exam current based polity as not asked. So this is why I am telling you. मैंने यही इसमें बोला है कि what happens is कि हम उसको दोनों को assimilate कर लेंगे, करंट अफेयर्स को भी assimilate करेंगे और अपने बेसिक फैक्ट्स को हम क्लियर करेंगे, सो दैट करंट अफेयर, देखो पॉलिटी एक ऐसा सब्जेक्ट है वेयर करंट अफेयर्स भी आता है तो किसी न किसी प्रोविजन से ही आता है ना. अगर आपने स्टैटिक सही से किया है तो करंट अफेयर्स की बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस आप करने में यू विल बी वेरी एबल. पार्ट हाउ मेनी आवर्स वी विल कवर पॉलिटी. सो इन दिस कोर्स वी हैव प्लान्ड फॉर 30 आवर्स. 30 आवर्स इसलिए क्योंकि हम हैंडआउट्स देंगे आपको जहां पे आपको डिक्टेशन की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है, सो वी आर रिड्यूसिंग दैट मच टाइम ऑफ द डिक्टेशन. सेकेंडली, इफ नीडेड विल टेक सर्टेन टाइम्स मोर, not to worry about that, but we are not going to leave any of the important concept. So basically the plan is to cover that in the 30 hours. It might vary from 30 to 35, 36 hours specifically for preliminary exam, and this 35 hours we will also be practicing questions in the classrooms. तो पिछले 15, 16, 17 साल के जितने भी previous year questions है, it is guaranteed that you will be covering that, क्योंकि कई बार आपने concepts पढ़ लिए हैं and then you are reading the previous year questions, you are getting additional knowledge. So we will do that together and we will see that what to read, and that is also how to read specifically for polity. Good evening, sir. Apart from the class handouts, will we need to any other source for polity? See, अवनी अगर आपको मैं दूसरा सोर्स पढ़ने के लिए बोलूँ ही, so what happens is that कि फिर हैंडआउट का क्या पर्पस रह जाएगा. So in that situation, I am telling you that we will prepare the handouts in a such a way, and of course included with our classroom discussions, that or overall you will not require to read apart from it. तो कोशिश वही रहेगी कि हैंडआउट ऐसा आपको दिया जाए उसमें करंट अफेयर्स भी इंक्लूडेड है और स्टैटिक तो रहेंगे ही, so that you are not able to you are not required to refer any other sources, right? So I hope that you are clear that what to expect from our courses, the Prelims Master Program, and we'll be starting it from the 18th of February. Nikhil sir, I told you that which subject we are starting with. Hoping to see you and meet you guys in the classroom. Thank you so much.